Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Good morning, everybody. Cowboy here. It is 8:31 a.m. EST on Wednesday. Not a lot of news coming out today. Not a lot of planned news. Of course, there's always that chance of expected news, but I'm taking a look at what appears to be a major rotation in the direction of the EURUSD. Now, this has implications in trading, and it also has implications in international finance and geopolitical ramifications and all kinds of stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out. We're looking at the 3-hour right now, right? And so before I zoom out, let's just take a look at the trend. We had a clear downtrend, and then we had a violation of that trend. Okay, so you have, lower highs, lower lows, right? Very, very textbook downtrend. But then price did not go further down. You had this low that was right here, and then price went ahead and attempted to break that low and rejected to the upside. And this is a double bottom. Now, there's not a lot of structure for this double bottom. There is a little bit of structure back here that we could look at, but there's not a real pinpoint where this bounced. It just bounced. So usually for me to look at a major rebound upwards in this direction, I'd want to see a bounce at structure. And if we go back, the closest structure where there was a pivot point for this is back here, okay, which is pretty well below price. So am I expecting to move up, down? Well, right now it could go either way. Technically, the downtrend was violated. And the reason that I say that is because you have this high here, and then not a new low, or maybe technically a new low by just a few pips, but then you have a break of this high right here. It doesn't mean that the uptrend is in. I would want to see a new higher low right here, and then something like that. I might think that the new trend was in, but before that happens, we're just kind of in this no man's land, right? Some traders I know would call it a bullish rotation. That's all terminology. In the long and the short of it is price needs to decide if it wants to go up or down. So what we can do is we can take a look at a higher time frame bias, right? We can take a look at what's happening, say, on the daily chart. Okay. Now on the daily chart, we do have kind of a combination of factors. Price is heading down in a strong way. Again, not much support where price is right now. There is a decent amount of support right here, but we're nowhere near that on a tradable time frame. So I would, or at least, yeah. And so what might happen right now is price might have to just decide what it's going to do. Now, interestingly, we do have price having grabbed some prior liquidity, right? So if you look on a higher time frame, this sort of downtrend, if you will, you have this liquidity area where this box is, and price just tapped it right now. Now, price could go higher, but if we end up seeing a new downtrend, then that might be the beginning of it. And I mean on a very high time frame, because right now we're still in an uptrend on the daily. If you look at it this way, right? Higher highs, higher lows. This could simply be a higher low and price heads upward. And to look at the algos, we have a chance at seeing that happen. We have a chance at it. But I'm going to take a look at the weekly and tell you that probably not. It does appear that we're seeing a major reversal in trend on the weekly. And the monthly is just, the monthly lends some possibility to that reversal in trend, but that moves just so slowly that data, it's not useless, but we're not going to worry about it. So if I were to guess what was going to happen on this, I will guess this. Price will either range in this area and head down further, or at least head down to this area right there, right? It may also head up a little bit further, and there are a couple places it could go, but a real key point might be anywhere in this range where there's some more liquidity to be tapped, and you start to get into just some minutia here, right? But somewhere in this range, price may head up to, we're going to see, might not do it at all. And this is on a high enough time frame too. It's almost not relevant to trading. So these are things that could happen. But if I go back down to a tradable time frame to say, like for swing trading, we also have what appears to be, or at least what could be, a range building in this area, right? So we could be seeing the euro build a range in this area that I will code that color. And we'll see if price maybe just bounces back and forth until it makes a decision, right? That also could happen. So we could be kind of stuck in a high time frame range, but this is very tradable from a swing trade or a lower time frame sort of scenario, right? As price goes up, if I were to get rid of all of this other data here, we are sitting right at a resistance and bouncing off of it. So it would have been a nice place to enter at some point. And if I were to take a counter trend trade, which I don't know that I would do just yet, I would look to maybe I would have shorted. Maybe if it comes back up, we get a good rejection, short down in this area. Now, it might break this resistance. And then, of course, we have a lot of data up here as to where that might go. So right now, it's kind of right below a resistance. So I wouldn't want to go long. I would want to go short if the algo's allowed. But I am seeing a little funkiness. I mean, it's still rather bullish. So if I were to kind of low time frame this, I think what'll happen is we'll see something like this, and then it's going to make a decision up or down, right? So if it breaks above here, then maybe a nice long. If it truly rejects to the downside, then maybe a nice short right there. So just gonna have to wait and see on that for anybody that is swing trading or doing anything on a little bit higher of a time frame. Now, let's take a look at Bitcoin. Well, it looks like this kind of lower path is what ended up happening, more or less. So that's something that I said might happen on Monday for Algo Factory members. So let's go ahead and get rid of that, albeit successful look. And I'm going to take a look at the liquidity here on Bitcoin. And most liquidity is sitting up at the high area. Now, there is this good stab right there at 104.5, but most liquidity is sitting between 121 and we'll say 126. So let's go back to the chart, put our liquidity on for Bitcoin. So you got 121 to 126. And then way down at 104.5. So I can move this right about here. Now, what's price going to do? With Bitcoin, I think we got enough time for Bitcoin. Yeah. So let's do this. Yeah, Bitcoin it's just, I don't think, ready to pop up. I think Bitcoin is going to revisit this lower area. In just a moment, I have to reset something here. Apologies, folks. I don't know why that alarm got reset to being in the middle of my show. We're going to fix that so it doesn't happen tomorrow. Apologies, everybody. Okay, good. That won't happen again. It happened yesterday. I don't want it to happen again. All right, so I think we're going to see Bitcoin possibly head down here, at least for the moment. Now, it could continue to hold at 108. That's been a decent support, and we're seeing that happen. But the dump down last week was monumental. And of course, that was news-based, and now we're getting news from Trump about soybeans. And, it's just the business with China. Business with China continues to temper the markets, right? This is just something we have to deal with. Stand by just for a second, folks. Apologies. Dealing with allergies, it is what it is. And as the tariff news does continue to temper markets, then we can expect to see Bitcoin continue to revisit the low. And the low is more or less around the 108 area. And of course, we have a little sliver of liquidity, but it's a strong kind of needle like we saw there at about 104.5. price could head down there. But right now, if anything, I would expect price to head down. And we are seeing a head and shoulders continuation pattern form, but it is right at a support. So I don't know how much credence I would give that right now. But technically, this pattern does exist, and we just did it wrong. I'm gonna have to zoom in to make this happen, right? But let's do it. Let's do that. We have to acknowledge the pattern. As to whether or not that will trade, it's another story because it's a big mess after a big dump. So those kinds of things get tricky. They don't necessarily hold when you're coming off of a panic sell. But the pattern is there, right? Price did go to these areas. So if in fact we see this pattern complete, then there's always that chance that it could break below. Now it's the support is around this area, so it's going to have a hard time breaking below that. But anytime you see lower highs continuously and basically the same lows, you can expect that trade. And if I were to put targets on this, and this might be giving us clues as to where price might go should it break down, then you're looking at about 106,000 or just below, right? So those are your targets on that. One target might be your support if you can get in, not a lot of room on that. But the main target might be at about 105,800. And then of course you right now have the liquidity down at 104.5. So a decent case is being made here for Bitcoin to dump down below 108 and head towards 105, 104, 103,000. So that is what it is. I'm going to go ahead and get into the NASDAQ and everything else, but we're going to go to the private live lab right now. So just understand that as long as this tariff news is continuing to temper the market, then we're going to see it could be some volatility anytime you actually do see an announcement. It could be just a bit of a suppression of price. A big issue is certainty. Markets like certainty. And so when you take certainty out of the markets, you will see not as much money go in. And then you'll see markets kind of flounder. They'll either go sideways or down or less up, right? It's just adding gravity to the equation. So understand that and trade accordingly. Also, what's unique is that, thanks, Mikey, I appreciate that. The shutdown, the government shutdown is going to make it so that the news that we usually get every week, and every month, for example, tomorrow's CPI, we're not going to get that data. No CPI data comes out tomorrow, which was supposed to come out tomorrow. So as long as that government shutdown happens, it doesn't mean we'll see overall less volatility. It might even add volatility, but those moments of volatility when that news comes out and kind of mixes the market around a bit, that's not there anymore. So all the players can't use these numbers to, add volatility and even manipulate those numbers, et cetera, right? So that's the government shutdown type situation. It is what it is. You will get some data when it's not government dependent, like your some of the non-farm payrolls data is not government dependent. It's actually, a private or a university, like the University of Michigan, statement, all that stuff. That kind of that's consumer confidence. That type of stuff will continue to come out. So it's kind of, excuse me, I'm just having a hard time this morning. I got allergies. Apologies for the lackluster performance here, but just understand that in this era, in this time, there's it's just a little different. We got to, in a way, it's going to make markets a little more natural, which for a guy like me is great. But we'll go ahead and we're going to catch up to you all later. Thank you for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. We might even have Mick go trading with us tomorrow. We'll talk to him and see if he's interested in doing that. And it'll be, no, Powell isn't speaking tomorrow, so it might be kind of a normal day for him to trade. In the meantime, thank you all for watching. Get your free algo. Link is in the description. And it's a cool algo. It's something that I designed myself. And it does show you how I take and build an algo, if you will. And then I actually show you how I translate it into code. Okay. And then once it's into code, I can put it on the screen. Those little tabs right there. That's what I'm talking about. I can I literally build something like that and show you how to do it and put it on the screen. And I even show you how to add it to your exchange so that you can.
Hello.
Hello, V. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing quite well, my friend.
I show you how you can add it to your trading view. And that way you can connect it to your exchange and it will trade for you. And, I wouldn't recommend that until you know what you're doing and optimize the algo. It's not meant for you to just do that. It's just meant for you to see how to do that. So thank you all for watching. We'll catch you on the flip side. We're going to go over to the private live lab.
Join us or die.
Just kidding, you won't die.